What's up, everybody? So we're live here. We're going to do a little bit of online book arbitrage. We're going to use Keepa, and we're also going to look at, we're also going to use FlipMine. So we're going to see if we can do some eBay to Amazon flips and also some Amazon flips. Let me just make sure that on my end, everything looks good, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I'm not expecting too many people to be here because this is kind of just out of the ordinary. Had a little extra time. Thought that I would jump on and just see what's going on with everyone out there. So maybe let's go and start over on FlipMine. So if you're not familiar with FlipMine, it is a software that tries to scrape eBay listings and compare them to Amazon. And let me actually share my screen so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, let me share it there. Let's come here. Awesome. Okay, so FlipMine scrapes eBay listings and then tries to compare them to Amazon listings. And the goal is to find a differential in price. So if there's, let's say, a book on eBay, maybe it's listed for 30, but on Amazon it sells for 70. Then there's an arbitrage opportunity where you can just buy it on eBay and sell it on Amazon. So what I will say though about using FlipMine is that, it's called FlipMine for a reason, because all these flips, you got to mine them. It's not like every deal is just magically dropped in your hand and it's like, this is something you can make money on. You still very much have to be very skilled at reading keeper graphs, so you understand when you actually do come across a good deal, when to pull the trigger, and also when you inevitably come across deals that are not very good, you know to stay far away from them because you know how to read keeper graphs. Okay, so these are the filters that I always use to find good books. Now, I'm not saying I find good books every day or every hour, but I definitely, when I do come on here, not too frequently, to be honest with you, I do find some pretty good deals. And I think the real reason why I do that is because I'm able to analyze keeper graphs, and that's what my skill set is. So you can see right now I'm looking at used condition books in the book category. I'm looking for an Amazon price which is greater than 85. So really what that means is this book has value because Amazon is selling it for, pretty decent amount of money. I am looking for books with a sales rank at 2 million. And for the purpose of this video, I actually kind of want to go a little bit higher than that. Let's go up to 2.5 million. And the reason why I want to go 2.5 million or less is because I think there's a lot of opportunities with books that are ranked really high for you to swoop in, get a book that's really undervalued, and you might have to wait a little bit, but it could be really good. So this first listing actually looks really interesting. This was posted 4:30 p.m., so that's about 18 minutes ago. Looks like the eBay price is 20 bucks, and the third lowest price on Amazon is 50. So the first thing I want to do is just make sure that the book is 15 bucks plus $4.16 shipping. Let's go over to Amazon here, and it looks like this actually looks to be a pretty decent flip. Notice that it's textbook season right now, so you actually see the used price of this book going up. And actually the new third-party price of this book is actually going up pretty significantly too, right? Beginning of December and January, the new price is right around 60. Now all of a sudden it's up to 102. So it looks like the new offer count really isn't changing much, but for whatever reason, the new sellers are deciding that they want to increase their price a bit. So what I would say about this book is, in the current market, this is an amazing deal. Meaning if you were a student who wanted this book, this is an amazing deal, because if you needed to buy this book today, you'd have to spend over 100 bucks for this book, which is pretty insane. Now, if we kind of look at it, the grand scheme of things, and we look at the data within the last year, that's really, what's up, Mike? I heard books over $1 million rank never sell, man. Yeah, I can sell. I've sold books before that didn't even have a rank, so it's possible. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's definitely a good, probably beginner general rule of thumb, but yeah, definitely. I think, Mike, my average sales rank for a book is like 1.2 million. So I definitely sell books over $1 million. But thanks for checking out. My whole life is a lie. I appreciate you being here, Mike. This is awesome. So we're looking at FlipMine here. So again, this book is 16 plus $4 shipping. So if we just plug this into SellerAmp, basically you would pick this up for $20.16. And in today's market, buy box is 127. The lowest used price is 102. We're right smack dab in the middle of textbook season. So I guarantee you that this book is going to sell like almost immediately, and it could already be sold. Like if I refresh the page, it could be sold. Okay, it's still there. But if you're a student who needs this book, this is an amazing deal. If you were to buy this and try to flip it during textbook season, there's probably unfortunately not enough time for you to get this in, because by the time it gets shipped to you and then you ship it to Amazon, textbook season is going to be over. But with that said, the used offer count is really low right now. And what that means is I still bet you that there's a good opportunity to flip this book for at least 40 or 50 bucks. So, honestly, I would pick up this book because, like I said, at 20 bucks, it is slightly undervalued when you look at it in terms of the grand scheme of like the last year. Now, generally, the new price is hovering right around 50. So I would be conservative and say if you were to pick up this book, you have to be realistic and realize that it's very likely that after textbook season, the new price of this book is right around $53, which means as an FBA used book seller, you'd probably want to sell it a little bit less than that. So you might want to list it at like $49.99, in which case, you know, you would still make maybe like $45, something like that. You'd make $10 profit. So that's a decent ROI. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but like I said, used offer count is really low. So this is honestly, this is a book that I would pop on. This is a book that I would buy. Like I said, I probably, as soon as I get it, would merchant fulfill it, and I'd try to catch the tail end of the textbook season. Now, the good news about this book is that generally it sells year round anyways. So it's, even though it sells amazingly during the textbook season, it actually is going to sell year round no matter what. And it is likely that if you did want to hold on to it for the next textbook season in September, which I wouldn't do, I would just try to sell it and make a little bit of money on it, which I think we could do. But it is possible that in the future textbook season, you know, you can maybe sell it for an inflated price again. So I would say this book looks good. What I would do is make sure that this book is unlikely to be counterfeit. So I'd come over to a website called Books Run, where they have a book counterfeit probability check. I'd go ahead and search that in there. It looks like it's unlikely to be counterfeit, which is great. That doesn't mean it isn't counterfeit, but it means that, you know, it's less likely to be counterfeit. Mike says, Flipmine primarily focus on FBA flips or let's see, or you don't do, let's see. Flipmine primarily focus on FBA flips. Or have I done MF flips with this before? Yeah, I'll do MF flips with Flipmine if it's textbook season and there's no way I'm going to get the book in to Amazon time. But generally, Mike, I do FBA flips with it. But the goal of Flipmine is to find a book so undervalued that what you buy it for on eBay is so crazily underpriced in terms of what you can sell for on Amazon that you make the difference, that basically the money you make is just by you selling it for what it's actually worth. So in this case, this book is slightly undervalued on eBay in the grand scheme of things, because generally, if you were somebody who wanted to buy the book as the lowest merchant offer, you'd have to spend between 25 to 35 bucks. I mean, there have been times where it's been a little bit higher, up to 40. Clearly, I mean, in today's textbook season, when this book, I mean, factually, if you wanted to buy it, you have to spend over 100 bucks for it right now. So obviously it's a great deal right now, but I would say that this book is slightly undervalued, but you could send an offer. So like, let's see. So this book is probably it's out of stock. Someone already bought it because it was amazing. I mean, it's not an amazing deal. It's a good deal. It's an undervalued deal for sure. But Mike, yeah, really what we're looking for is like, we're trying to find a book on eBay for 30 bucks that sells regularly for 70 or 80. And so the way we make money is just by buying it undervalued and selling it for what it's worth. And usually the reason why the book is priced so cheaply on eBay is because the person who listed it incorrectly. They don't know how to list the book. There's a lot of reasons why someone, you know, would sell it for something less than what it's really worth, but that's the goal. So like, here's another example, like this book here, you can see that eBay price is $22 and then third lowest Amazon offer is 81 bucks. So what that would tell you, you know, if that data is actually accurate, that should be a good flip. Now, a lot of the times the data that Flipmine pulls from Amazon is not super accurate. So what you'd want to do is still compare the price. It looks like on eBay, right, the price of this book is 22 bucks. And if you go over to Amazon, clearly the lowest used price is right around 20 bucks. So you would think that, hey, I'm not really getting a great deal considering I could buy this for the same price on Amazon. And if it were a good deal on Amazon, you would just do an Amazon to Amazon flip. You know, one thing that's really interesting about this book is that for a long period of time, this book, its lowest used price was well below $10. But clearly it shows some textbook seasonality, because in August, you know, the used offer count went down, which means people are buying it because people needed it for school. And you notice that the used price started going up. And look, I mean, here are two sales at over $100. Here's a sale at 80. So here's a book that you could get really lucky on and buy it for really cheap and try to sell for more. Now that's called exploiting textbook season. And I would not recommend that you try to do that as your business model, because I've tried it enough times that I got burned enough times that I know it doesn't work a lot of the time. But it is factually true that two people sold their book for over 100 bucks. And if they had bought the book for right around here, like less than $10, obviously that's an amazing flip. And it looks like, you know, in July, this book does show that it has textbook seasonality. So it is likely that it could do that again in this next September textbook season. So it's interesting. I definitely want to buy it because it's not a great deal, but it's possible. You know what I mean? So if we keep going down, there's this clinical hematology book. Looks like you could pick it up for 48, potentially sell for $82. And let's go and take a look at it. So $47 from Books Run. Let's go over here to Amazon. Again, the Amazon price is 45, so probably not getting a great deal on it. But what's actually really interesting about this book is that in the last year, the lowest used price has been around like 60, although and it's gone up to 80 or $90. Like this is also a textbook season. You see the sales rank does drop really well here in September and also in January. And what's interesting is this book is actually starting to see a slight decrease in price, even though the used offer count really isn't seeing much of an increase in price. So you have more sellers coming on the listing, or you don't have very many new sellers coming on the listing, yet the price of the book is going down. So maybe a question you want to ask is there a new edition being released, or is there a new edition already released? It looks like it hasn't been released yet, so that's good. This means that as of right now, this is the newest edition. So this would be an interesting opportunity at $45. You know, again, there's not enough margin in my model for me to pick this up, but I mean, I would bet you that these buy box prices at $90 are probably very reasonable, considering that this book has a great sales rank and the lowest used price when the buy box was, you know, right around $90 here, around $100 here. That it's not really too significantly, and it's not priced too significantly higher than the lowest used price. So I bet you a lot of these offers are actually selling in the buy box. And let's actually click on any individual one of these. Let's see if we can see any of these offers being sold. So who's this? AT Bookstore, so not them. Okay, so it looks like their used offer count is still in stock. So maybe they haven't sold it. But yeah, I would say not an amazing deal, but this is something that if you could pick it up for 20 to, you know, maybe $30, I think it'd be a good deal. Okay, so here's another book, $750 on eBay. Looks like the lowest inferred is price on Amazon's $58. Now again, whether or not that's true, we have to look through the listing. So $750 over here on eBay. We go over to Amazon. Looks like the price is right around the same. So one thing you'll notice when you do when you look at a lot of the books on FlipMine is that, again, you have to mine through it. You're just using this as an indicator for, hey, this is a book that you should look at. It doesn't necessarily mean that's a great deal. It just means that this has the potential to be a deal, but you still have to look through it to see if there's potential there. Now, I'll tell you that one thing that I love to see is I love to see when there's actually not a stock image, but there's actually a real image of the book, because usually if there is a real image of the book, the person who took a picture of the book is usually a smaller seller. People who have larger operations and scales, they can't work at that scalability to take pictures of every item. And generally people who actually are able to take pictures, they're more responsive in responding to questions. They might be more willing to take offers and things like that. So here's a book, $49.95, free shipping. Let's take a look over here on Amazon. Looks like the buy box is $150, which is pretty crazy, even though the lowest used price is $43. So let's see if that buy box price is reasonable. Now, I'm actually tracking this book. You can see this dashed line here at the bottom of the chart. I'm actually tracking this for $15. What you notice about this book is that its used price, its lowest used price, is coming down over time. And the reason for that is the used offer count is going up, which means there are more sellers coming on the listing. And it just makes sense that basic supply and demand, as more people come on the listing, the price of that book should come down, because there's more downward pressure on price. There's more people trying to sell the book. Because there are more people trying to sell the book, that means that they're going to be more competitive with the price because they want to get a sale. What's interesting though is that when this book was at a very low used offer count, in other words, when there were not that many people selling it, this book has potential to sell well over $100. Now, something I would want to do is kind of go a little bit further back into time, because this book actually came out in 2013. So this book has been out a while, and I don't think that this book is, it doesn't look like a textbook at all. So there's probably not going to be a new edition of this book. It looks like Amazon just sold out of stock, and they haven't come back in stock since. And what this tells me is that this book is going to continue to hold value into the future. And the reason why I know that is because, one, a lot of people were willing to pay $40 for this brand new from Amazon. Two, the used price of this book was still pretty healthy even when Amazon was selling it for $40, meaning people were willing to pay for this book in used condition. And then three, there's recorded historical data to show that there's some subset of the population that wants this book that is willing to pay double or maybe even triple the retail price. Now, again, notice that as this used offer count starts coming up, the used price starts going down. So I would say is that, yeah, definitely, even at, I mean, $50 is technically not undervalued, considering that you could buy it for cheaper than that on Amazon. But I would say this is a book that I'm tracking. If it ever gets to $15, I think that this could be a pickup. And actually, I'm just going to look at the eBay tab to see real quick if there's any other listings of this book that are a little bit cheaper. And it doesn't look like it, but one thing that you could do to save a search on eBay as well is you can come down here and say, if you're looking for this book to be anywhere between like 0 and 16 bucks, you could say, hey, let's look for this book between 0 and 16. Notice that no matches are found because currently there's no copy of this book listed for 16 bucks or less. But what I could do is I could save the search. I click here or here, and you can see it says, oh, we have trouble saving. So looks like they don't want me to give the example of how to do this. But if you save the search, it'll say we'll send you an email notification if this ever happens. So it's an interesting another feature that you can use to track books on eBay. Let's keep going. So let's see if FlipMine has gone ahead and refreshed it all. Let's go take a look. So we have, let's see, a book for 50, selling for 50 potentially. Okay, this is interesting. So this Python book is listed for 41, and looks like it could potentially be selling for 135. So it looks like new, 38. So it's a Python book. Let's go over to Amazon. Selling for about 150 bucks. Sales rank on this looks pretty good. So again, I'd say that this is a pretty good deal as well. 38 plus $4 shipping would be what, 42 bucks. So you're at $42. This book has been selling for over, like, most of these sales in the last 6 months have been for over 100 bucks, which is pretty crazy. And if you think about this book selling for 100 bucks, if you were to pick it up for 42, I mean, that's a $30 profit, which is not amazing. I mean, it's a 74% ROI, but notice that this book does have the potential to make an offer, and I would make an offer on this book. Now, notice this book doesn't actually this book probably doesn't come with an access code because the listing is for the access code. So maybe something you'd want to do is see if this book also has a listing without the access code, because a lot of times there could be multiple listings, one with an access code and one without. But you know, this is a book that I think has potential. Now, again, sales rank right now is, what is it at? It honestly doesn't. I mean, sales rank has been over 1 million in the past, right? But this book doesn't look like it has a new edition. So this is a book that I would send an offer on. I'd probably send an offer for this book at, let's see, I'd have to pay $349. I'd probably send an offer for 30. So I'd say, was it 33.19 and or 33.49? And again, buy box is 150. It's possible you can sell for 150, but I'd probably more conservatively try to sell for 100, and you make 100% ROI. So all I would do is first, let me just check to make sure to see if this is likely to be counterfeit or not, and we'll see from there. So it says it's unlikely, so we can keep going. Mike says, appreciate the knowledge while I was making dinner, learning a lot, looking forward to continue my binging on your channel, LOL. I appreciate it, Mike. Yeah, I've been watching your channel for a while, and yeah, I'm glad that we're able to connect a little bit, and I appreciate you being here, man, because you also offered a lot to the community, and I appreciate that as well. It's cool to meet you, man. You're an awesome guy. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm just going to send this person an offer of 30 bucks, and we'll see if they're willing to accept it or not. So you can see that it's sent. Would I spend more than that? I mean, I might go up to 35, but honestly, there's no shortage of deals in my opinion. There's so many books out there on Amazon to flip to Amazon. There's so many books on eBay to flip to Amazon, on OfferUp, on Facebook Marketplace, on Craigslist. There's so many books to buy online, to flip online, that I don't need to fear, like, I don't need FOMO. Like, I want to find good deals. I think that this book, if I could buy it for $33.49, is definitely undervalued. It's about a third of the price that this book has been selling for, somewhat, pretty consistently. So I feel like if the seller is willing to sell this to me for that price, I'm willing to pay that price. But if they want me to pay 35 or 38, even though I still think that's still probably a pretty good deal, like I said, I'm looking to find great deals. I don't want to find just good deals. I want to find great deals. So I think $33 would be a great deal there. Okay, so here's a geometry book. Looks like $39.99 plus $7 shipping. Let's go over to the Amazon page. One thing I noticed right off the bat is the new price is right around 96. So, I mean, if you're picking the book up already for about half of what the Amazon new price is, there probably just isn't very much wiggle room for you, because again, Amazon's new price, or the new third-party price, is really going to be like the ceiling for what you can ask for a book. So what's interesting about this book is this has amazing textbook seasonality in basically all of summer, July, September, July, August, September. Like, this book is selling for well over 100 bucks. And notice that if you look at its Keepa chart, this book clearly sells during the summer months very, very well. And that's probably because this is a book that is needed for high school. That'd be my guess. This is Glencoe Geometry, Middle English Edition. Yeah, I'm a high school teacher, so if you didn't know that, I'm a high school teacher, and I see books like this all the time at our school. So I bet you this is a book for high school. It's probably bought right before the school year started. But look at how crazy this used offer count is. It goes back here in 2020 went up to 20, then all the way down to 5, went up to 42 the next year, went all the way back down to 4, then went all the way back up to 52 and back to 15. So I see a general trend of this book it looks like the used offer count is going to trend upwards, but it basically looks like that whenever it comes time for July, August, September, the price of this book goes up. And what's really going to be interesting is to see what the buy box used data looks like in the next textbook season. Now, clearly this book is not selling nearly as well in January. And the reason why I say that is because if you just look at the past historical data and you look at January, notice that even though sales rank drops a little bit, it's nowhere near the drop that you see in August and September. And also, you don't really see any drop in the used offer count, which means that there really aren't a lot of people buying. There aren't really that many people buying this book in January in comparison to August. So what I would say about this book is, if I had to make an educated guess, I think in the next July, August, September textbook season for this book, it's probably going to get close to 100. That would be my guess. So if you were to buy it for 45 and you were to sell it for 100, I mean, you could make a little bit of money. But again, this is a book that is probably floating out there somewhere in your local community. You could probably pick it up for a couple bucks, and this would be an amazing flip. And this is secondhand readers. Feel free to send them an offer. So let's see. This book looks like it's in decent condition. So what do I think would be a good deal on this book? I think if you could pick this book up for the $7 shipping, right? If you could pick this up for 15 plus shipping, so you'd be all in for what would that be? Like 22.51. I think that would be a good position to be in for the next textbook season, because I think worst case scenario, even in the off season, as an FBA seller, you're probably selling this for a buy box price of like $60. So if you could pick this up for $22 and sell for 60, which I think you could totally do in the off season with exploiting the textbooks or exploiting the prime gap, I mean, you can make a little bit of money. I mean, but again, this is a book that I'd probably want to wait until July, August to buy. Now, I think we're a little bit far away on what I would ask for this, but an easy way that you could send offers is that you can just use auto hotkey scripts to send messages to people. So like if I'm here on eBay, I can just contact the seller, and I have an auto hotkey. So I'm going to come down here and say contact the seller. And if I want to offer 15, I just type in AA15, and it's just going to say, hey, would you do 15? I can pay for the shipping, and I can send the message. So you can use like hotkey scripts to communicate with people a little bit easier, especially on eBay if you want to, see if you can snag some good deals. And generally, what I would say is if the eBay price is slightly above what you're willing to pay for it, there's a high likelihood that they'll actually work with you and they might actually send you an offer. So here's a book that's really interesting, this diagnostic and statistic manual. These DSM-5 books are highly likely to be counterfeit. So you can see that this is $35 plus $4 shipping. Look over here it's actually incorrectly paired. So it's paired with the wrong listing, but this book in general is highly likely to be counterfeited. But notice that the price of it's insane, $125. I mean, the sales rank it's under 500 in books. That's crazy. That's pretty insane. Now, this person already sent me a message. Let's see, the person who we just sent the offer on, they're probably gonna say no, but let me just look on my phone. Let's see what they said. This is the Glencoe book that we were just looking at. I'm sure they're gonna say that's probably way too low, which is generally what happens. Yeah, they said too low, which is understandable. I was just showing you how you could send a message to somebody. But let's just keep going on. Let's see what else has popped up. All right, this is interesting. So this book here, also an image of the book, which is great news. It looks like listed for $39, and third lowest offer here is $79. So we're gonna just first see if that is accurate, like the Amazon price is accurate. So this is $39.83 on eBay. Let's go over here to Amazon. Now the used price looks great, but the problem is that there's 20 in stock with one seller selling this for $49. So what's interesting about this book is that the new third-party price is right around $50, yet the used price is going well above 50. So the question is, why would somebody list their book in used condition for more than the new price? Well, notice that this new offer is not a prime seller. So let's see, it would take until Monday, January 23rd. So it would take you 10 days to get this book, which honestly is not too long in terms of waiting to get a book. But all these other offers up here, they're Amazon Prime offers. So notice that, this is 92, 95, 95. So there's actually 3 different sellers. One person has 2 different copies on 2 listings, but there's 3 different sellers trying to get significantly more for this book in used condition. And really what they're trying to do is exploit a customer's willingness to just buy this book for more money in used condition than new condition, solely for the fact that they can get the book a little bit sooner. Now, that's more likely to happen on a listing where the sales rank is really good, because you just have more opportunities, you have more eyes coming to the page, you have more people who are there to make that decision of whether that makes sense to them. Now, I think like a logical human being, and as a logical human being, I don't know if I really want to spend an extra $40 for this book in used condition to get it sooner, rather than just wait 10 days to get it in new condition. But that's just me. There could be, the likelihood that you find illogical people when there are more and more people coming to listing, increases. So obviously, if you have a subset of 10 people coming to this listing, probably probably all 10 of those people are logical. If you have 10,000 people coming to this listing, maybe there's 1% of those people who are illogical or something. So I don't know. It's interesting, but that could be one reason. They're just trying to exploit that convenience. The other reason I can think of is that they're just priced incorrectly, because maybe there was a time in the past when the new offer was out of stock, and so they were the cheapest price available, which doesn't look like that to me, because the new offer doesn't really look like it was ever out of stock except for very short periods of time. So not really sure what's going on there, but it is very interesting. What's up, Gina? How's it going? Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. I love looking at books like this, because it's like, what is this book? I mean, this is probably, if I had to guess, this book is published probably, I would say early 2000s or 1950. Oh my God, this book is published in 1950. That's crazy. But what's crazy about this is, even though this book was published in 1953 and it's the first edition, it's still selling 40, 50 bucks pretty, I mean, not consistently. Well, I would say, yeah, it is selling 40, 50 bucks consistently, because in the grand scheme of things, I mean, I highly doubt anyone here was born in 1953, right? There's probably very low likelihood that anyone here was born in 1953. But if this book was published in 1953, there's probably really no difference in the data between 2020, 2021, 2015, because that's such a long period of time that this book, if it were to lose value, it would have lost value. So clearly, this book had some value at right around 40 to 50 bucks. It's even sold. I mean, some of these sales are probably in the collectible offer condition. So maybe, yeah, I'd say right around 40 bucks is probably what this book is worth. So this would be a book that you could track using the keep a track product feature. And if this book, personally, if this book ever gets to 10 bucks or less, I'm gonna pick it up, because I know that this book is worth at least 40 bucks. Even though it doesn't sell super frequently, it still sells, I mean, consistently throughout the years. So I would say, if it ever gets to 10 bucks, let me know. Notice that the buy box price is $99. Now the question is, do we think someone could sell it for $99? I would doubt it, but I wouldn't also say that it's not possible. What's up, Catherine? How's it going? Nice to see you. You got an emoji in the chat. I love it. Got that emoji in the chat. Okay. One thing that you could do to see if this FBA price sold is you can actually just click on these little buttons here. This is the buy box use price. Okay. This little, I think this is purple. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But these purple dots show up on the graph, and they represent the buy box price at that point in time. And you can actually look and see that this went from 99 to 89, all the way back up to 99.89. And if I go and click on it, you can actually see that it tells me who is selling the book. So here's the seller. It also tells me their stock quantity. So notice that today is January 13th. Notice that they're still in stock today, which means if they had one in stock and they're still in stock today, that means they haven't sold the book. So you can see that when they came on the listing, December 16th. They won the buy box, $99.99. They dropped the price to $99.89. They've been there since, and they've really only been here for, how many days would this be? About a month, and the book hasn't sold at that price. Why do I think the book hasn't sold at that buy box price? Because a logical human being comes along and says, I want to buy this book. I can buy it for 45 bucks. Should I just wait for the book to come to me and spend $40 less, or should I spend an inflated amount of money for this book to get it sooner? Now, there's probably somebody out there who is willing to do that, especially if this book is needed for like a business or needed for college. In that case, if it's somebody else's money that the person's spending, they probably don't care. They'd rather just spend more money to get it shipped to them sooner. But somebody who actually wants this book is probably not willing to do that. And clearly this book, even though it has sold twice in the time that this person has been listed with their buy box, them being buy box eligible, clearly they haven't sold it. Now, what's funny about that is actually, if we take a look a little bit further back at this buy box price here, so notice that who we just looked at right here was Square Room Books. They came in stock December 8th, and they still haven't sold out. They're still in stock. But notice that if we look at this dot here, This seller is J Sells Direct. They came in stock on October 16th at $99.99. Then they dropped their price to $89.99, and notice that they went out of stock right around here December. This would have been December 7th. So if they went out of stock December 7th, notice that could be this sales rank drop right here. So my bet is that they actually sold the book at $99.99 or $89.99. That's my guess, because their offer disappeared, and that'd be my guess, because they're no longer seen. So sometimes the sales rank drop doesn't quite match up with when the book sells. Not exactly sure why. I'm assuming that probably tracking tens of millions of products on Amazon is probably a very difficult task for a software to do. So it's probably why there's maybe a little bit of discrepancy, but my bet is that that book did sell at that buy box price. But how's everyone doing out there? I'm probably not going to stream too much longer, because this was just like I had a little bit of extra time before I had to go somewhere. I thought I'd kind of hop on, answer some questions, do a little live sourcing, and just kind of show my face and see how everyone's doing. So maybe we'll look at one more book, and then we'll go into just a little bit of live Q&A, and then I'm going to hop off. And I will be live streaming tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. PST. So if you're around during that time, then show up, because we'll probably do at least an hour stream then. Okay. Nothing new has popped up here with FlipMine, so let's go down a little bit and let's see if we can find anything else that looked interesting, because sometimes there are things that fall through that people, just for whatever reason, no one wanted to pop on. So let's go and take a look at this book, $55 from Books Run. Let's look over here on Amazon. You can see that the price is basically the same on Amazon, which probably indicates it's not a great deal. There have been a couple sales for up to $130, but generally this book sells, you know, if you had average out the sell price, I would say you could probably sell it between 50 and 60 bucks pretty easily. So I would say you'd be buying it for right around what it's worth. If you wanted to make money on that book, you'd have to exploit the buy box or a period of time when the used offer count was really low, which is probably not very likely to happen. The same thing here. This book is 48 bucks. Let's go over here to Amazon. Notice that the buy box is basically the same price as it is on eBay. Clearly, this book has a textbook seasonality pattern to it, because in August sales, you know, look at the used offer count. It went from 80 down to 19. So that's crazy. About 60 used offer, basically 60 sellers went off the listing by people buying this book. So there's a lot of people interested in this book. Price went up to about 170. Now, here's what I would say about this book. Be careful. There is a newer edition that just came on the listing, and these sorts of books, these Aspen casebook series books, they tend to come out with new editions, and when that happens, they tend to tank in price. So you can actually see that the tanking is already starting to happen, even though we're in textbook season. So yeah, that's a book that I would avoid at all costs for sure. Okay, let's just come back here and maybe let's just hang out for a little bit. That's probably all the live sourcing that I'm going to do, because like I said, I do have to go somewhere. But anyone have any questions before we wrap it up? Anyone have anything to say? Any questions? Like I said, I will be live streaming tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. PST. So if you're around, it'd be awesome to see you show up to that. I'm also going to go ahead and put a link to our Discord, or to my Discord, in the chat. So if you're interested in joining a Discord, we have quite a few people in there who are very knowledgeable, some probably even more knowledgeable than I am, and offer great advice if you're new into online book arbitrage, or just want a community. There's that for you there. So maybe stay on for like a minute longer, and then we'll head off. Appreciate it, JV. JV says, keep up the good work, Joji. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm not stopping. I'm coming at you. I'm coming at you hard. I'm bringing out new content. The next video that should drop is going to be a book that I bought on Amazon for 92 cents and sold for $149.99. Isn't that crazy? I bought a book on Amazon for 92 cents and sold it for 150, literally within like a month. It was pretty insane. So that's, I think, the next video is coming out. And then the video after that, I think it's just going to be a keep a deep dive episode. And then we'll see. I don't know after that, to be honest. Kevin says repricing during textbook season. Ooh, that's a good question. I am doing a little bit of repricing, probably not as much as I should be. I've been pretty busy with school. I don't know if you know, but I'm a high school teacher. I just went back to school And so it's been a little bit difficult for me to do some repricing, but I should technically be doing repricing, but I definitely would have more sells if I did do that. But yeah, I haven't done a whole ton of repricing. Definitely not as much as I should. I do use a repricer, but even with a repricer, you should still reevaluate the market, because sometimes you'll look at a book and like, oh man, I should raise my min price because this book has changed like crazy. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe the book is tanking like the last one we just saw, and it makes sense. Okay, I need to lower my min price because I need to sell this book. So I would say it's definitely important, but I haven't really gotten around to it. But yeah, I guess there's always work to be done, right? Always things to be done. Any other comments? Any other questions out there before we head off? How are sales, by the way, for everyone? It is textbook season. I hope that you're getting more sales, especially if you have textbooks. So anyone seeing a large increase in sales? I know I am, in comparison to like the other months. All right. All right. I think everyone's pretty good. So just remember, tomorrow be live streaming 6:30 a.m. PST if you're around. I'll see you there. But that's all I have for you today. Peace out, everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.